Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een amma ba'd. I was once in Egypt at the book fair that takes place every January. It's an international book fair, and I'd gone with a few brothers from the UK, and one of the brothers, mashallah, with a big beard as well, we were sitting down. He was sitting down outside of the Azhar area, and there's a very famous market down there, the Khan Khalili as such. So he was sitting there having a shisha, because at that time I think it was a big there was a big hype about shisha in the UK. It kind of just started and everything, and people had started buying all of these shishas. Every house you went to in the front room, they had a shisha, as though it's some kind of adornment or something, right? I don't know if you remember that time, but all these houses in the UK had all of these shisha around. So this person just thought it was quite normal at that time, because people had this idea at that time that there's no harm in it. It's just this nice pastime, and there's no harm in it. So he's sitting there having one, having a shisha, and I just personally, I can't bear the smell of it. It just smells very sweet and sickening, and just makes you want to vomit. Alhamdulillah, I feel that way. But I remember there were 2-3 other brothers there that were young guys from Egypt who were around. No beards as well. And I just asked him, I said, what do the ulama here consider this? I mean, do you guys consider shisha to be fine? And they said, no, it's haram. Our ulama here say it's haram. And that's the same case with many of the ulama in Saudi Arabia as well. They consider it haram. Now, they've got their reasons, obviously, whatever those reasons are. What I want to speak about today is that the great thing that happened in the UK was that they had this ban on shisha smoking inside, and thus many of these shisha cafes had to close down. Now they've got these rooftop ones, and then they've got these ones, but this can only be done by companies that have a place outside. So they've got these outer verandas or whatever it is in which they have the shisha and so on. The thing is that I think what we need to look at is what are the harms of this thing? That's what we need to look at to provide a hukum. So number one, I mean, smoking, according to many of the ulama, is haram. According to many ulama, internationally speaking, it's haram. According to many ulama of the subcontinent, they said it was makruh. Because I think the time that this fatwa came out, many years ago, many decades ago in fact, at that time smoking's harms of smoking were not very well known. So they just said it's makruh, it looks bad, it's got, you've got this puff coming out, it looks like a chimney, it smells, it stinks. So they said it's makruh, but they didn't know it's so harmful to the health. However, as people find out its harms for health, they've got stricter fatwas. So personally speaking, what I generally say about smoking is that it's haram to start, because you're wasting money, you're getting into something that's addictive, that you're going to be addicted to for a very long time. It's got definite harms. Internationally, it's understood now that it's got harms, right? And you're basically becoming addicted to something which is not going to further you in any way, right? And it's harmful for you. So it gives you lung disease, and it could give you cancer and throat disease, and etc. etc. Now so it's haram to start, but those poor people who unfortunately are stuck with it, and they're trying their best to come out of it, then for them to continue, obviously, then there's a level of karaha and a level of reprehensibility there. But I'm not going to say that's haram, because they're now stuck within it. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah protect us all, and Allah help them to also relieve themselves. Many have been relieved. When it comes to shisha, a lot of people thought that it's quite harmless because it's colorful, and that's the nature of things in this world. People package things in nice colors, adorn them and embellish them, and then suddenly they start looking good. But that's the problem. It's not as good as it is. For example, they say that an average pipe smoking session of around an hour is equivalent to smoking about 200 cigarettes. Wallahu alam. I mean, that's a massive claim, but if there's any truth in that, that's extremely harmful. Many of those who've investigated this and who've researched into it, they found that there's similar health risks in shisha smoking as there is in smoking cigarettes. Obviously, maybe on a slightly different level, but there are the same kind of things. For example, respiratory and heart disease. That can be. That's also. You can also get that from shisha smoking. You get the same kind of carbon monoxide is released as well. There's infections and viruses such as oral herpes and tuberculosis. All of these things. Because the tobacco passes through water first, some people think that everything gets neutralized. But the problem is that the same kind of carcinogens and nicotine, the carcinogens and nicotine, they're still found in there, and those are the things that are habit forming and cancer forming. So heart disease and cancer is a possibility from there as well. The World Health Organization, right, the WHO, they said that the volume of smoke inhaled in an hour shisha session is estimated to be equivalent of smoking between 100 to 200 cigarettes, right? So there's a lot of these things that you understand. It's definitely, when all of these organizations are saying that it's harmful, then it's something that the Muslims should avoid, because it's not a good pastime when you've got all of these harmful effects of it. There's no benefit in doing these things if that's what's going to come out of it. The other problem with the shisha smoking is that because people think that it's not harmful, then they smoke for much longer. So all of this stuff is coming through at the same time, and it's not getting fully neutralized. So there's all of this harm in there. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to avoid this, and to find a better pastime that's a lot more healthier, and that won't be considered harmful for one's health. Because just like we say that things which are harmful to us spiritually, things that are harmful to us physically are also bad for us. So I think we need to take that into consideration. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to enjoy life in a way that's more halal and healthy than in these kind of ways which are considered unhealthy and that just may seem cool for people and not really beneficial. جزاكم الله خير وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.